Joining us now is Ojy Okpe with stories trending around the world. Morning, Ojy.
Good morning, Tundu.
Should I try and do? What does he do? Ojy?
This one did.
Okay, you do it, because mine is so lame.
No, yours
try
is
it.
perfect. Always. I love it.
Oh, really? Thank you, Ojy.
How are you?
Don't
try it. Dr. Matis.
Do the wave.
He's been watching. Hi, Rufai. How are you?
Hi,
Good morning.
Yeah.
Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in the U.S. U.S. users on social media have reacted to a statement by the United States government condemning the killings of civilians in northern Nigeria. In the statement published on the Department of State's website on Tuesday, the U.S. urged the Buhari-led administration to intensify efforts in protecting Nigerians as well as persecuting those responsible for the killings in the north. The statement, signed by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, has garnered a lot of mixed reactions from Nigerians. Let's take some tweets. One user wrote, "It is logical to call for justice in the barbaric killings, rape, and maiming of innocent Nigerians by the northern fundamentalists. But who will make USA to dismantle the systemic racism that has been enshrined in their culture?" Another user wrote, "Dear Mr. Trump, I condemn the barbaric lynching in the street of George Floyd in the glare of the whole world in the United States of America by your security operatives." Well, I could take more tweets, but everyone is toning this line. Everyone is talking about the systemic racism in America. Why are you guys concerned about us? But I think it's really uncalled for at this point. I don't understand why people are easily attack people that try to help. I mean, I don't see.
I agree with you, Ojy.
Yes.
I think trying to help somebody else is not to suggest that you are perfect.
Right. Yes.
It's to say that you have your own issues that you're dealing with in your life or in your country, as the case may be. But you can still highlight somebody else's problems. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive.
I think Rufai will disagree because I heard you say something as well.
No, the truth has to be said.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell the other person that he's got a log in his eye, but don't forget the one in your eye.
Exactly.
And look who is talking. Mike Pompeo. Look who is talking.
I know, right?
Mike Pompeo, of all people.
But you know, when everything goes, when things go wrong in a lot of countries, people always say, we hear that refrain, where are the Americans? You want America to come, the world's policeman to come and rescue you. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, when they do point out to these glaring failures in security that we have, then we tell them, mind your business. So which is it?
I mean, one thing has to be said, yeah, they're killings, but America too should look inwards.
Yes.
Because if you are to calculate the number of people that have died by police brutality, correct me if I'm wrong, it will almost match the number of people that are dying due to banditry.
Well, the statistics are not there yet, so we can't really
I know
say
a sizable number. I know 365 days in America, one person dies of police brutality.
So which country is justified in pointing a finger?
No country is justified.
Right.
Like you said, you can just point it
You can point it out, even while you deal with your own
Even while you deal with your own country.
But systemic racism is a big issue in America, and nobody's going to them and saying, you know what, fix your issue. So the point is everyone is like, the U.S., just shut up and fix your issue.
Mind your business. Oh dear.
All right. Well, let's take another story. The police in Katsina State has arrested the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Coalition of Northern Groups, Mr. Nasura Aisha Sharif, for organizing the peaceful protest that took place in the state on Tuesday over the incessant killings of residents in the state. In a statement on Wednesday, the group's Director of Operations, Aminu Adams, said the state's Commissioner of Police, Sanisu Buba, invited leaders of the group shortly after the protest for an interactive session in his office. The meeting resulted to Sharif's arrest, after which he was detained and consequently taken to the force headquarters in Abuja. Scores of individuals have been killed by bandits across the parts of Katsina in recent weeks, rendering hundreds of families homeless and resorting to begging for food and water for survival. I mean, I know I asked you this question yesterday. Are we living in a democratic country at this point?
That is such a reasonable question, Ojy. It's worth asking because I don't understand how you can be an AK-47 wielding bandit and you get a photo up with the governor, whereas if you're a peaceful protester, you get arrested for your pains. I don't understand it. The police reportedly invited them all for a chat, and this man ended up being detained. Why? What did he actually do? This is a democracy. He has the right to protest.
I mean, I think the demonization of
it's
protest...
It's in our constitution.
Yes, in chapter 4.
Right?
Yes,
I think the demonization of protest and any seeming, call to action as regards the ills of society is a very scary trend for our democracy. And I have to say that very strongly because almost any time people have come out to protest in this country about the ills in this country, they've been high-handedly browbeaten. I saw this coming, and I'll tell you why. When I saw the pictures of the protest a day before, and they interviewed the Commissioner of Police in Katsina State, he said the protests have been infiltrated, that this group was sponsored. And I said, Commissioner, I said it to myself, I said, how sure are you that this group was sponsored? He said this group has been sponsored and he's hearing information as regards this. And voila, this happens. He's arrested. What I advise the leader of this group to do is to get a lawyer, to try as much as possible to get his bail. But that shouldn't stop people from protesting what is going wrong in the country. We all have a constitutional right to protest. Nobody's violating the Constitution. And the question is, if you don't have something to hide, why is it that protest scares people in this country?
Why can't the protesters be called for a photo op with the governor? Why can't he talk to them?
That's a valid
Why is it okay to talk to bandits and you cannot talk to protesters?
And that's why there's a weaponization in Nigeria. It looks as though people look at you when you have force or you have weapon. And it's a scary trend.
Yes.
I mean, Dr. Ikechukwu talked about it. We're fast becoming a highly weaponized nation. You have weapons, people call you. They say, let's talk.
Yes.
You are respected. You don't have weapons. And that is what is causing all the uprising in the country. Let's be very careful about this trend.
I have a huge problem with this. Recently, the Northern Elders Forum made some observations, some criticisms, which is allowed in a democracy. And how did the president's spokespersons handle it? They called abuse. And said if this wasn't a democracy, they know what they would do. What kind of veiled threat is that? But this is a democracy. This cannot continue. This is not how to treat voices of dissent in a democracy. It's not. It's completely unacceptable.
You see, you must.
Well, that is a loud accusation that you said that this might have been a sponsored protest.
No, that's what the commissioner was saying.
Yeah,
the commissioner of police.
He dismissed it as a sponsored protest.
But we should be very factual here. You see, a true democratic society thrives with opposition and voices of dissent.
Of course.
That's why in the parliament in England, the leader of the opposition is paid by the government. In fact, we should even pay people to have opposition. And I think it was Wole Soyinka that made a statement recently against the government, and they said he should concern himself with writing books.
Yes. You cannot be disrespectful towards those who criticize you. We are treading a very, very bad
trajectory that people cannot talk.
Yes. It really is. I hope this matter gets resolved as soon as possible because it looks really, really bad for the state at this point. Let's take another story. Musician Ojy Okpe, popularly known as DBanj, has come under intense criticism after a lady who accused him of rape was reportedly arrested and detained for false accusation and defamation. The lady, Sheitan Babatayo, had posted a series of tweets narrating her ordeal with the musician and had demanded an apology, claiming that he raped her in December 2018. DBanj, on the other hand, released a statement denying the allegations as an attempt to ruin his image. On Wednesday, journalist Kiki Mordi shared on Twitter that Sheitan was arrested and denied access to family, friends, and legal representation, and alleged that she was made to delete the tweets that accused DBanj of rape. Let's take a look at that tweet from Kiki Mordi. She wrote, Sheitan accused DBanj a couple of weeks before this article of sexual assault. Yesterday, at about noon, Sheitan was and is still detained in Shodigbo, Ikeja, and hasn't been granted access to friends, family, or lawyers. Well, it appears that Sheitan had deleted all of her tweets. Her last tweet read, I don't know where all these rumors are coming from. Myself and my mom were not and have not been arrested. Well, let's take some Twitter reactions with this story. One user wrote, let's say DBanj was falsely accused of rape. On what grounds is he using the police to detain her? Isn't this a matter for the courts? I've always said the Nigerian police are just a bunch of broke, frustrated, tattered folks who can be controlled with small money. Well, another user wrote, terribly disappointed DBanj had his accuser detained after he had done the right thing through his lawyers. Whoever advised him to go this intimidation route, after his lawyers had appropriately intervened, has now helped him turn this into a messy scandal. In response, a user wrote, "This just shows you that he's clearly guilty and he wants to silence her because who the hell is she? He knew she was powerless in that hotel room. He knows she's powerless now and he'll show her. We must never forget that." Well, another user said, "This lady said she was never arrested. Why is everyone angry? She accused someone of rape. The person took the matter a step up to be settled through legal means, and everyone is angry. Do you want DBanj to accept he raped someone if he didn't?" Well, finally, a user wrote, "If we all start judging everybody based on what we know or what we heard, I'm sure nobody would like anybody on this Bird app." That's the Twitter app, apparently. Well, this is a very, very dicey situation at this point. Well, Kiki Modi was the one who raised the alarm, saying that Sheita is in jail, or whether she heard from her or not, and stopped hearing from her after a while, and claims that, you know, they had forced her to delete all the tweets on her Twitter account accusing DBanj of rape, which, you know, I don't know if it's valid or not. And she also went on to say that she tried to get money from people to support her legal representation as well. So, you know, I don't really understand the story at this point.
This is quite a tough one. And I'm a vacillating man, I should say this very strongly.
You're a what, sorry?
I constantly, when I get new information, I could change a stance.
Okay.
Based on what I had before, because we had this.
You're highly intelligent, of course you do. Of course you do that.
We had this conversation this morning.
Yes.
It should be said, Sheita has come out to say that she wasn't arrested.
On her Twitter account,
if she was arrested, it's a violation of her right.
Is it really?
No.
So you have to tell us
if she was arrested. You know why I say it's a violation of her right? Because if she was arrested and she's been kept there for well over 24, 48 hours, she ought to be charged to court.
Okay, that. So you see, Rufai,
we don't know
it's not an arrest in itself is not a violation of her rights.
So that's why
so I'm saying charging to court.
No,
okay.
You said if she's been arrested.
Right.
Arrest in itself is not, because defamation is a criminal, it's a tort, and it's also, it's a civil tort, and it's also a criminal offense in the Nigerian Criminal Code, Section 373 to 376.
Does that have cyberbullying as well?
It has. I'll tell you the definition of 373 of the Criminal Code. A publication that causes hatred, contempt, ridicule, whatever, for a person without justification is a crime. It's a misdemeanor, and it's liable. You're liable to 1 year imprisonment in Nigeria.
So
that is where the police can come in and arrest somebody, because how is a person charged to court? If the police will make an arrest, there will be an investigation and what have you. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to comment on what I don't know. I don't know how long she was kept by the police, but I'm responding not really necessarily to you, but to your tweet from this gentleman called Kelvin, who said, why was she arrested in the first case?
Right.
Because in Nigeria, defamation is criminal as well as civil. It's a dual nature.
And so that's the issue on Twitter now. Everyone
is
claiming that DBanj intimidated her.
So it might be intimidation, because it might be intimidation, but we'll go on a break.
Yes.
We have to go on a break, and we'll come back to this story. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still with Ojy Okpe on what's trending.
Yes.
And just before we went to the break, you raised the point about intimidation. We've established the fact that an arrest can be made because defamation is recognized as a crime in Nigeria. Intimidation, that is an interesting point that you made here, because it tends to happen with public figures and politicians. When a publication writes something they don't like, or a blogger or what have you, when they arrest that person, it looks like a Goliath picking on a David. But at the same time, these are also human beings. Everybody has the right to have somebody prosecuted who they believe has committed a crime against them. Now, I'm not getting into the veracity or otherwise of the lady's claim or DBanj's claim. I'm just looking at it from a legal point of view. So you can't say that somebody like DBanj, throwing the whole might of his SAN and having the police arrest her, is intimidation. But you could also say that he's still a Nigerian who has the right to have the police investigate an offense he feels was committed.
And how can you even prove that the lady was intimidated in the first place? Because I keep referring to that lady's tweet.
What do you mean by lady?
How can you prove that the lady was intimidated? Because
they're saying the arrest is intimidation. That's all I'm saying.
But the lady has come out to tweet that she was not arrested. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, so that's the accusation.
Can you go back to look at Auntie Shaitan's tweet?
No, Kiki Modi said she was made to write that. That's the argument.
That she was
made to write that.
Yes. While she was in detention, that's what she was saying.
Well, if there was any kind of coercion, then that is intimidation.
Yes.
But if there was no coercion, just having the police arrest somebody is the same as if somebody steals your phone. You get the police involved, the person will be arrested. People should just understand. The point I really want to make is that defamation is civil and criminal in nature.
You don't know what happened. I can't pick out the veracity. But if the lady truly has a case, she should go ahead with the case, if she truly has a case.
But she has come out with this tweet. I don't know where that case is going to go.
And that's why I think we should even investigate, was this tweet written under duress? Where did the tweet come out from? I think Twitter has locations.
Yes, and they can tell if you use a mobile phone or
whether she tweeted from the police station.
Yeah, I think Twitter has location. So we should get where this tweet comes out from. Yeah. If Kiki Modi said this tweet was under duress, if we can pinpoint where this tweet come out from, then we can say, oh, they were there with her.
So the issue now on Twitter is that this is why women don't come out with their issues. I mean, this lady wrote a bunch of tweets about how DBanj apparently or allegedly raped her in a hotel room. I mean, it is very difficult for a woman to come out.
For me, I don't like the way the lady went about it. Twitter doesn't cut it. If she had all those facts, she would have gone to an NGO, because a lot of them will say getting the police and assessing the police might be very difficult.
That's a good point.
So she would have gone to an NGO that advocates for rape victims. Then the NGO will in turn take her with police, and they will go to the police, and NGO in turn will pay for legal representation, and that's the way to go about it.
But that's the same thing.
Going out just on Twitter,
to the police, that's what people are saying, and then you are accusing someone like a DBanj.
The police will listen. The police will listen to the NGO. Since the NGO has stepped in, and they get big legal representation, because it's the NGO that will now have to move the legal representation and cater to this.
So instead of going to the police, go to the NGO. That's what you're saying.
Go to the NGO first.
I like that. I agree with that.
I just think we're women, and you have women in your life, you don't want to speak in such a way that the women, your sisters, your friends, cannot come to you if they have this kind of a situation, because you've made everybody into Potiphar's wife. Not everybody is Potiphar's wife who lies. And at the same time, we have men in our lives, our relatives, children, men in our lives. Yes, they should be able to come to you and tell you that they have been falsely accused without you looking at them as rapists just because somebody said that. That's why it's just so difficult. I'm just sticking to the legal aspect. If you don't mind.
It's very difficult. But that should be the first, because these NGOs have dealt with these cases. So if you have a genuine case, if a lady comes to me that I had this altercation, I wouldn't say even go tweet about it, because tweet about it, public defamation, like you said, has come in.
It's a misdemeanor.
And it's a misdemeanor. It's already against you. So go to an NGO that has treated these cases over and over again. They'll give you the guidelines. They'll give you legal representation. Then you can start to fight your case from there. So when the case becomes in the public glare, then if they want the media to come into it, Tundu, I know many rape cases that have been fought without even the media glare, and they've gotten prosecution.
Yes.
For it.
Well, if you don't mind, can you name some NGOs that you know for our audience, just real quick? I know that the Maribel,
there are lots of them. Just go on Google, check for NGOs, that advocate rape. We had a lady that was raped a couple of days ago that have an NGO. Tonya. You can go to Tonya's NGO.
Fantastic.
So that's the best way to go, so that they can advise you right. But you pointed out a great point. If you have a very, very substantial case, Twitter is not the place to go.
Absolutely
We make that mistake a lot.
Absolutely
because when you go on Twitter, you've defended the person's character.
Very good. Very well said, Rufai. Very well said, Tunju. Well, let's take another story in the U.S. A video from a black woman named Jessica Love Burnside went viral on social media after she recorded nurses from the Comer Children's Hospital at the University of Chicago discriminating against her sick child by neglecting him until he almost died. In the heartbreaking video, Jessica is heard crying as medics struggle to restore her son's heartbeat after his heart rate went to 0. Let's take a look.
Dying and no one has done anything, and I've been begging you guys all day to help my son, and you wait till his heart rate goes to 0 to help him. You wait till his heart rate goes to 0. I've been telling you all day. I've been telling you all day my son is dying. And you guys wait. I want everyone to see this.
horrible. I mean, I cannot. When I watched this video, I cried for a second, you know. But you know, she wrote, "This is America. This is happening in America. They're not just killing us on the streets. They're killing us in the hospitals as well."
You know, when it hit home for me, I've heard about things like this.
Yes.
Even friends of mine have told me, you know, birth tourism is big. And Nigerians will tell you how that they were treated differently from white people. You hear these things. It really hit home with Serena Williams and her accounts of childbirth, how she almost died. And there's this systemic racism against black people. That thinking that informed racism, that informed Jim Crow, that black people are animals and not actual human beings, that black people have maybe thicker skin and don't feel pain the way, you know, fragile, delicate white people do. That so you don't feel anything. She was complaining about her symptoms. She was ignored. And I thought, my goodness, Serena Williams, the greatest of all time as far as athletes go, almost died in childbirth because she was not attended to because she's black. It's perceived that, yeah, you just deal with it. We're not seen as human beings. Again and again and again.
So you can see why. So you can see why everyone is.
So this is America.
This is America.
And we can't kid ourselves. I'm sure Mike Pompeo is seeing this. You know, because he wants to remove the speck in our own eyes. The institutional racism. You know, I was hearing a debate this morning on Fox, and the conservatives were fighting the liberals because the liberals now are trying to say that American history originally starts from 1690, when the slaves came into America. You know, all that part was not taught part of American history in American schools all this while.
Yes.
They just say American history started in 1776, when, you know, the country emerged and they fought for independence from the British. But the fact that the American slaves that started up the country, they don't want to talk about that. So it's a big divisive fight between both parts. But like you said, all lives matter. But it has to be said, you see a black child and you don't do anything. The mother has to
really
cry.
Sad. But thank God that her son survived this whole ordeal. I mean, you know,
and I like the fact that you liken this to police brutality. It's the same thing. Black men and black women and black children who have also been killed by police, we are perceived as these aggressive animals. So you're never unarmed when your skin is black. That black skin is a weapon in itself. So they perceive you as a threat.
You saw Toyin, that's what she said. I can't take this off. This is my skin.
This is our skin. So we are always seen as armed and just ready to pounce and fight. This is why a woman will bring a child. Those people did not see a child. They just saw black skin and thought he's some kind of an animal. We'll deal with him later.
Blame them. Tundu, how will I blame them?
We will blame them.
Leopold,
we will blame them.
King Leopold took Africans and put them in cages in Europe, and they were looking at us like African human zoos.
It has to change.
So they think we are monkeys.
No, they really do.
They do.
They really
King
do.
Leopold took a lot of Africans. He put them in cages, and they were going to look at our teeth and study them and say we are animalistic.
That is the thinking.
That's the thinking.
Are animals. It's so awful.
It has to change. Everything.
Please, hello. We have big houses here.
Let's take our final story. News that some airlines are suspending all or part of their alcoholic drink service in response to COVID-19 as part of a widespread revision of the industry's food and drink service to minimize interaction between crew and passengers has garnered a lot of social media reactions. The airlines include EasyJet and KLM in Europe, Delta Airlines and American Airlines in the United States, and Asia's Virgin Australia. I mean, I know you cannot relate to us.
It makes no difference to me. Either way.
I mean, it has just messed up flying for me. I mean, if I were to fly, I'd have to drink to just take care of myself on air because I'm scared of flying.
Can you buy something in the duty free on your way when you're about to board?
Well, I don't.
Get yourself a bottle.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. I don't know if that's allowed still.
Like the little miniature.
The point is, they really just want everyone to be calm and stay in their seats when they're flying and not roam around or do anything, or the interaction really is what they're trying to suspend at this point.
Effects of COVID.
It's ruining everything. It is ruining everything.
Yes, well, that's all there is on What's Trending.
Thank you so much, Ojy.
Thank you, Rufai. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes.